I gave people all the stuff they really needed. Social security checks, utility bills, TV guide.
I want a TV guidance counselor. TV guidance counselor. Staying up to watch all night, and everything's gonna be alright with my TV guidance counselor.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen. The man behind the mask. He does not behind a mask. It's Ken Reed. It's TV Guidance Counselor. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day week, if you're in America and you celebrate that. We have a returning guest. That's why I said he's back. And Friday the 13th Part 6 has ruined the phrase, he's back for me. Probably forever. But it's a good movie to watch this week. I always enjoy watching the Friday the 13th films just at the beginning of the summer. Anyway, he's back this week. It's Judd Winick. Judd is the best. If you didn't hear the episode that Judd did previously, about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, something like that, go back and listen to it. It's really fun. Judd is super smart, awesome guy, good dude, writer of the Hilo comic, or book series, also just a longtime comic writer, written everything cool. X-Men, EX-iles, which we'll talk about here a little bit. Red Hooded Batman, just so much good stuff. And just happened to be on season 3 of The Real World. So, Judd, one of my favorite human beings on earth. This was an excellent, excellent conversation, and I think you'll enjoy it. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my returning guest, Judd Winick.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Live via satellite from San Francisco, Judd Winick. How are you again, sir?
Sir, I am so good. I am so happy to be here. I'm hoping we can keep this under 3 hours.
That's the hope.
We were pushing the limits last time. You know what?
Yeah.
It wasn't enough time. It wasn't. That's why I wanted to come back. This is good. I appreciate being on here. This is good stuff. It's a good time, man.
The listeners, weirdly, I discovered when I first started doing this show, and having come from radio where I was like, 45 minutes maximum as anyone's going to listen to this. And then the longer they were, the more listens it got. And I was like, all right.
Wow. Okay. Well, then what do I know? Let's go.
I guess people, like, if they have long commutes or they don't want to have to like DJ and put something else on, like they just kind of want to sit there and listen to a long thing.
I get it. Sometimes, I don't do them in the 3-hour ones. Of course, I don't do it in one sitting, but,
right.
A little bit while you're working out, a little bit while I'm, drawing, a little bit while I'm in the car. I get it.
Yeah. So,
If it's a good conversation, which apparently it is.
Well, yeah.
Sir,
when I have good guests, it makes it easy. We were just chatting a little bit before we started recording about Gary Busey hiding in your attic. And I love that you didn't know the reference, which most people probably don't. I don't know how many people have seen Hider in the House, the late 80s movie with Gary Busey. But I can't tell if it's more or less crazy that I would say that based on a Gary Busey movie I've seen, or just pulling him out of thin air of living in your attic. They both sound nuts.
They do. having Gary Busey in your attic as a motion picture, it's sort of like it's the first thought you have in the room when you're talking about, like, okay, so we got someone like living in your attic, like, I don't know, like a Gary Busey.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Gary Busey
can we
type.
get Gary Busey? It's like, well, I'm sure we could. Do we want to do that?
We could get
I'm
Jake.
asking. Jake could be good too, and and he'll be on time, and we can insure him.
Yes,
So,
maybe we'll shoot the movie mostly in flashbacks with Jake as Gary's character now. He's been trapped in that attic for God knows how long. It's a movie where he was like the contractor who built the house, and then he was presumed dead, but he lives up there, and he's like spying on this family that he's creeping on. It's
Oh, that is just. It's more bananas the more you talk about it. Oh my God.
Yeah. I would say it was a bit like the TV movie Bad Ronald from the 70s. Do you recall that made for TV movie?
Start me off. Bad Ronald was
Billy Jacoby is a mentally disturbed child who lives in the walls of his mother's house. She hides him from the authorities. She's elderly. She dies. A new family moves into the house, and he still lives in the walls.
Wow. When was this?
74, 75, I want to say.
Oh, it is old. It's not even in the, as I'm going to discuss here as we get to today's topic,
Yes.
today's TV guide from September of '91.
Yes.
After going through the TV guide, Ken, I got to tell you, this was a dark time for television.
Really? I like this time.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if we're bringing, as NASA says, our best and brightest. I don't think they were coming out here. Now, mind you, 1991, I'm 21 years old, and I might have been out and about and doing things. And to be honest with you, I was, and I did. So maybe I was not as emotionally invested in this era, but this has an odd feeling of, as it was in music, kind of the metal hairband era where, yeah, it's popular. Yeah, and people might be listening and watching, but it doesn't mean it's good. And, it's pre-grunge. This is before, and as far as the TV movies, again, this is like an era where, long before streaming services and long before, before indie films really sort of kicked in here, right?
Yeah, that 90s boom where it got a little bit cheaper to make a movie.
Yeah. So you would make a TV movie about nothing, for nothing. And, it's like, hey, we got a location. It's mostly people talking in rooms, a lot of bad thrillers.
Courtroom. Yeah, it's like this woman kidnapped her own child to act as an organ donor for another child that she also kidnapped. It's like,
dude, you are not too far off from a TV movie that is in this week's TV
is that one of the ones in there?
There's one in here with Stephen Dorf, who he was a baby who was sold by baby nappers when he was a kid, and I guess so he's 21 now. Around this era, is like he's Stephen Dorff, so he probably looks like a teenager.
Yeah.
So he looks like a teenager, and he's out to find his birth parents. I don't know anything beyond that, but that is in here.
Excellent.
They're doing that.
We will get there. This is the 80s really didn't end until the end of 1992. Just like I feel like they didn't start until about 1984. It was still that hangover from the previous decade. And we're definitely in there. This is September 7th, 91. So this is even before, the week before, 2 weeks before the new fall season started. So we're still in like the summer hangover of the 90-91 season. There's some weirdness in here, like even just when Janine Turner's on the cover, the very beautiful Janine Turner, very Republican Janine Turner, of Northern Exposure, which is certainly a highlight. I mean, that show, I love that show. It's actually streaming now, so you can watch it again. It's still really good.
This I know, and we shall talk about that at great length.
There's also an odd, they say it's on page 14, but when I looked at the contents here, we got Walter Cronkite interviewing a dinosaur puppet.
Yep. There's a whole series here, a mini series, if you will, I think, with Walter Cronkite doing dinosaurs.
Yep.
So yes, not unlike as you were describing, although it's September 7th, we're not really done with summer yet. They are showing, there's a lot of programs here, which are the previous season finales repeats.
Yep.
And stuff like Walter Cronkite might not be behind the desk anymore, but he's still doing stuff.
Yeah, with dinosaurs.
With dinosaurs,
I wonder if that he was offended like the same way that that on Jake and the Fat Man, when oh my God, why am I forgetting the name of the guy from Jake and the Fat Man who was in Canon? William Conrad. Like William Conrad, they're like, we got a role for you. It's a leading role, title role, Jake and the Fat Man. And he's like, I guess will I be Jake? And they're like, no.
Well, sit down for a second. I want to talk you through how great this show is. Like, am I the Fat Man? Just sit down, sir. Just let me talk you through this.
Don't judge. Don't judge yet.
Let me walk you through this. Like, listen, if you give me $9 more grand an episode, you can call me whatever you want.
Yes.
Like, okay,
so
all right.
Cronkite, they're like, the show's about dinosaurs, so we needed to get someone who people equate with dinosaurs. So we got you, Walter Cronkite. And he'd be like, all right.
Okay. It's like, I covered the Kennedy assassination and the moon landing. That was me.
Yeah.
And it's like, we got a dinosaur puppet over here, Walt. It's like, great, good times.
Oh, is Henson? It's not a Henson puppet though. It's Sub Henson. I'm sorry.
So we're not doing Henson puppets. Okay. All right.
There's a great SCTV sketch called Walter Cronkite's Brain, where Rick Moranis plays Walter Cronkite, and he has Ted Koppel as a huge pothead. for some reason. I don't know why. And he has this whole like monologue about pot, and he goes, "I don't get high anymore. I just smoke dope and get depressed." It's just like the weirdest thing. And it's like a full-length episode called Cronkite's Brain. It's so bizarre, and I love it.
Oh, SCTV actually, they really swung for the fences more than people realize. They
Yeah.
just really, Rick Moranis, I just found a clip, scrolling through Instagram, and there's Rick Moranis. I don't know what he's doing yet, but he breaks into song. I don't quite recognize the song. And, it turns out he's singing Police, do, da, da, da. He's doing John Davidson.
Yeah.
Covering a Police song. Going, do. When he finally got to the chorus, I finally recognized it. And it was so brilliant and kind of random and strangely spot on. It was
He's
just like
an amazing musician. All those people were. There's a great one too with Eugene Levy, and he's playing oh my God, it's like an AM 60s singer, and I can't remember his name. Like a Bing Crosby type, but it's not Bing Crosby. But it's called the He's Still Alive tour, and he's laying down face down on the stage the whole time with the microphone put on the floor, and that's how he's singing. But he's doing "I Will Survive" by Gloria Gaynor. It's like, "I will survive." And it's like this really low. It's pretty great.
And a low
that stuff.
crooner.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, so we have this big article in here about Northern Exposure, which was a fluke hit. So this was 1990. We got Twin Peaks, which again was a fluke hit. Massive hit, and it was that kind of thing that it was such a huge hit the first season that it burned out immediately. Like Heroes had that, Batman 66 had that. But they greenlit all these shows about strange small towns in the woods in the light of Twin Peaks. And Northern Exposure is one of them that they sort of Trojan horsed the show in, where they pitched it a little more Twin Peaksy, and then as they were able to shake that off, it became it's almost like the Andy Griffith Show.
It is, we can jump right in and start by Northern Exposure, and I can talk Northern Exposure. Yes, it is amazing. It's this happy accent. For one, it premiered in July, which I think they're referred to as a mid-season replacement, and we need to talk to people who were around then. Like, it's July. Mid-season would be, in the
March.
middle of the season, which would be, earlier. This is July, so we assume that they were trying to kill it. There's a dumping ground. It was only 8 episodes that they threw in the middle of the summer, and people are supposed to be at the beach and doing cookouts and crap like that. People don't watch TV much. But in the absence of anything being on, I guess they went to it and liked it because it was great, especially the first season. It was just 8 episodes. It was great. I mean, God almighty. The shows that they tried to bury in the summer, like I think the only other time a little show, which came much, much later, which the network hated, and dumped into the summer and expected no one to watch, just a little medical drama called Grey's Anatomy.
Yep.
So, and Grey's Anatomy's been on 85 years now. It is the ship of Theseus. No one from the original program is on the show anymore. Nope. It's still running. Okay. Big God. I assume the people at home know what ship of Theseus is. It's the, of course, thought experiment ship of the Greek mythological king, that the ship is slowly over its journeys, has been replaced bit by bit to the point where none of the original pieces are there. That's an entirely different vessel, but it is still the ship of Theseus.
Right, like a 70s rock band playing concerts now in the summer. Is it still the band, even though it's the third drummer from the band is the only member?
Exactly. That is Grey's Anatomy, but Northern Exposure, I think, had its own issues later as it too fell apart. Because 8 episodes the first season, then they came back real quick, 10 months later, like almost a year later, with I think it was another 7 episodes. That was their season 2. And then by the time they finally got to a full season of, back then, so it's like 24 episodes, like they're just cramming, Rob Morrow, our lead, is already haggling for his contract.
Yep.
He's already getting into fisticuffs that he wants more money. And inarguably at this point was worth it. For where the show went. And the show's just, looking at the show, okay, now if you don't know Northern Exposure, just go listen to something else, because we're just going to talk about
this is not the show for you.
This is not the show for you. We got to get into it. It's a very difficult show to make as far as storytelling, because there's no engine, meaning And I assume the folks on the show understand what a show engine is. It's just literally the thing that drives the show forward. If you're a medical drama, someone sick is rolling through there. If it's a legal drama, you always have cases. There's always something driving the show. So this falls into the realm of soap opera. It's just, just show about people living their lives. Joel Fleischman is a doctor, so occasionally we'll fall back on that he's treating patients, but it's not really the engine of the show.
No.
It's the personalities, which is just an impossible thing to keep.
So hard.
So hard. No one's doing it anymore.
No. And it's such a small cast, too, that you can't even do the cheat where you're like, this person dates this person, then they date this person. Like, we keep switching the dating alliances, which is what most things fall back on, but that is not an option here.
No. I mean, they have the will they won't they with Rob Morrow and Janine Turner, and eventually they do, but they had to rely on coming up with original and interesting stories for the characters, and they did, right? Even I've watched the final. Okay, so for those playing at home, Rob Morrow into the third, into the fourth, and the fifth season, he got into a contract dispute. He just wanted more money. And they should have given it to him, and they didn't.
And part of that reason I should mention is because of that 10 months in between. So this show, they were getting rid of it. They're burning it off in the summer. They didn't expect it to be a hit. They had canceled it, and all the people once a show's canceled, everyone goes on to their next gig. So they literally had to pull people off of other things, and it took 10 months to get all the people back to do this show that they had completely written off. So he's already feeling like, I got them over a barrel now. This was so much trouble last time. So they've kind of set him up. It's not totally his fault. They've kind of set him up for this mindset.
Yeah. And as they have to, because it can't come back without him.
Yeah.
At least initially, he's the lead in the show. He's the inciting incident of the program. He's our fish out of water. He's the Jewish doctor in residency who's coming to the small town in Alaska to treat these folks. I mean, later they were trying to clearly threaten him with bringing in some other folks.
Anthony Edwards. Everyone's always
Anthony
threatened.
Edwards. Yes, Anthony Edwards, the very, very threatening Anthony Edwards, who is so great in this.
Yeah,
who's great. Period. I was listening to another podcast was discussing Anthony Edwards working on Zodiac, and David Fincher, who does, 55 takes, went off on how great Anthony Edwards was, in real time apparently. They're doing it, and they're on their 25th take, and he leans over and says to a bunch of people, "That's an actor." 25 takes. He's giving me something different every single time. That's a heavyweight right there. And you know what? My family and I we are rewatching ER because my kids are teenagers and my wife's a doctor, so it makes for a very interesting watch.
So you really want to bum them all out?
Well, yeah, it's getting more bummage. Well, what's fun is you can pause it and my wife explains shit. It's great.
Does she ruin? Is she that's not accurate? You wouldn't do that, or is she they're pretty dead on? That's this and this.
Little from column A, little from column B. Okay. ER was considering that it's television. It's pretty accurate. I mean, a funny example is that on Grey's Anatomy, which we were just talking about, who's the lead? Who's McSteamy? Patrick.
Oh, Patrick Dempsey. Yeah, from Loverboy.
Patrick Dempsey. Yeah. Oh yes. And he's great. In the first episode, in the pilot episode, he does brain surgery, and then when they go to series, or rather someone points out, and he'll be doing this surgery. No, he can't do that. He's a neurosurgeon. Sorry? He's a neurosurgeon. It's oh, they don't do, no, he's not. General surgeons don't cut into people's, he's a neurosurgeon.
You need to know
you guys
a
not
lot
know this?
about the one thing.
Yeah, that's how surgery works. And so Grey's Anatomy is always way out there, and there's ER close to home. So, okay, back to Northern Exposure. Yes, they brought in Anthony Edwards later just to scare the crap out of Rob Morrow. And, it could have worked if Rob Morrow walked away. And then Paul Provenza.
Yep, Paul Provenza.
Paul Provenza in the last season. And you know what? He's actually good. The whole series is actually good. Even when Paul Provenza's in there, we're on our last gasp, and the show's a mess. And they got Chris in the morning now hooking up with... goodness, I got to remember her character's name. Forgive me for getting off the mic. Maggie O'Connell.
Yeah.
Janine Turner.
Which makes more sense than her and Dr. Fleischman, I think.
Kind of, but not. I mean, sort of. I mean, it was something to do.
Sure.
You know, but goodness, I can't tell you how much I loved this show when I first saw it. I think I was even aware that I as a Jewish person, I enjoyed the Jewishness of the show, because so often the Jewishness in stuff, especially, still, it's just like putting aside the Israel currently in a war. Let's step aside from that and the newfound anti-Semitism we have across the country. Let's put all that aside for a second, if we may.
Sure. Done. Fixed.
Yeah, done. Moving on. Problem solved. Chip chop. Every time there would be something, you would always have the same dumbass Jewish joke at someone. They thought they were just being so great. Like, oh my God, I haven't been this embarrassed since I got my braces locked at Alan Sheckstein's bar mitzvah.
Right.
I was kissing Allison Goldstein on the dance floor during our slow dance and our braces locked up. It's like, okay, we understand.
Blah, blah, blah.
Jewish.
Bris?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Oh, God. Whereas this it kind of worked. You know?
It worked for his character. He's like he's very practical. Like, you know, and the only things that was I think a couple times he had like bagels flown in from New York, but I'm like, that tracks. That's not like cartoonish. Like people do that.
No, it wouldn't be insane. He's living in Alaska, and yes, and that I'm such a fan. I remember that episode.
Yeah.
In the teaser, I think he's just shooting the breeze with one of the town folk, and he's getting really Alaskan in his talk. They're talking about like the clothes they're wearing, and this thing is like this 2-ply. I can stay warmer there, and I had this, a bit of frost, and he catches himself like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yes.
Like he became a local.
Yes.
So I've got to immerse myself in being a New Yorker once again.
Forgetting my roots. Yeah. So this show was a highlight of 91. Like, I'm not surprised. It is, the cover story. There's a really good long article in here. And I've had Paul Provenza on the show, and we discussed him taking over. And that was a really interesting chat from his perspective, because, he was kind of looked at as like a scab almost. And, he had to come in and bring this different energy to the show. And again, not his fault that, of what's going on, and just a weird scenario. But that last season still works. I mean, he's still good in it.
He was, you know what? As far as storytelling, I thought they made a good choice that, like, he's coming as a doctor. He's married to Terry Polo, is it pronounced Polo?
Yep,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. And she's great. They're great. It made for an interesting story. And, it could have actually gone on, I think. It could have actually survived that. But by then, the creator show, they had left. David Chase came in. David Chase of later Sopranos fame, who just, unfortunately, his quote on Northern Exposure now, it was a job. I did that for the money.
Yeah.
It was a gig. It's like, oh, okay. Right,
that thing I loved and it means something to me. Yeah, it was a dumb job.
Yeah, it's just a dumb job.
The paycheck kid.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, hey, I kind of like some of that.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Then there's like some grapevine stuff in here, and there were some shows I forgot about, like Young Riders, which was a ripoff TV show that was a TV version of Young Guns 2.
Right. I looked at that, and I'm scanning it, saying like, are any of the Young Guns guys in here?
Nope.
I mean, a couple of them might have made the drop to TV, but no, actually, all of them still had enough juice they wouldn't. And for those playing at home, in 1991, if you were in film, you did not drop down to do television.
No, unless you wanted to only ever do television again and nothing else.
Never go back. Case in point, there's a TV movie in here with Treat Williams.
Yep.
Okay? And you know what? Treat Williams, the greatest. Awesome. Never bad, and, just got lost in the switches there. So, he's doing some period piece thing where he's playing a lawyer or some shit. And I bet it, if you watch it, like, this isn't great, but he's great. He's never not bad. So anyway, yes, none of the Young Guns.
He's even great in Dead Heat. And it's a low bar because he's opposite Joe Piscopo, but he's playing an undead cop trying to solve his own murder.
Jesus. I'm going like, no, just like, oh, you said so many words put together, like Dead Heat. Like, Do I know that? Joe Piscopo, I do not know that.
Oh,
I
you'd love it.
Beyond. Really? Is it? I mean, you got Johnny. He's good in Johnny Dangerously, which I have not watched in. If I've watched it in 25 years, it still might be longer than that. It's probably dumb, but actually probably holds up a little bit, and that's where Piscopo belongs. So he's Treat the Dead Cop.
Treats the Dead Cop. Yep. Piscopo is his partner. It's full on Royd's Piscopo. The villains in it are played by Vincent Price in his final role, not counting Edward Scissorhands, and Darren McGavin.
Wow.
And it's pretty good. It's like it's a zombie version of DOA.
Okay. And they're playing for laughs?
It was sort of.
Oh my God, they're not. Oh God, they're not. It's not comedy.
There's comedic stuff, but the jokes aren't terribly funny. I'll say that. It's more like it's not a perfect movie, but if they had leaned into the Shane Blackness of it and made it more Lethal Weapon than comedy, like that kind of, I think it would have been really good. But it's a very interesting idea with some cool execution. And Treat Williams, to your point, fantastic in it.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, and when was this done? When
88ish. 88.
Oh God. So no, this is long before they'd ever figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
How do you make a comedy with no one had really cracked the Ghostbusters formula ever again.
No.
And a lot of people forget that Ghostbusters was actually legitimately scary here and there.
Yeah.
It kind of had stakes, it kind of worked in that way. And people were sort of chasing that here and there, and you wouldn't kind of get to it until Men in Black. So I assume that maybe they were trying to make that work. I wouldn't say it's hard so much as you gotta enter sort of the era of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Joss Whedon before we're kind of getting it right.
Yeah, because if you're too acerbic and too funny, then nothing matters. Like nothing's scary. So
yeah.
But if people are making jokes because they're scared, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. No, it's not a very fine line, actually.
No, it really isn't.
It really isn't. It's and I didn't get it for a while, but
yeah.
But we were talking about Treat Williams. It was amazing.
May rest in peace,
folks. If you have not watched the movie Hair,
yes,
boy, it's great. It's great. God, it's really so different from the play, where the play actually didn't really have a story. If anyone has done that, well, you probably haven't. I'm old, and the first time I saw Hair was a movie, and then later I saw a theater production. What the hell is this? It's a little more free form. It's a little less of a narrative, whereas the movie has a narrative. And
the play I feel like was well, we got naked people.
Yeah.
What else do we need to have so that people will come to this and not think it's just naked people?
Well, it'd be good if the music kicked. Lean into the music, man.
Okay, we got that.
We got some good tunes. I heard that we got this giant guy. He goes by Meatloaf. Well, he can't be in the play. Sorry? It's his name is Meatloaf?
Is he the nude guy?
Is he going to get naked? He doesn't have to. All right.
He insists.
Yes, he insists. I heard he was quite good in Hair.
Yeah. You know what I'm surprised by that, and this totally off topic sort of, but that Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise was never done as a stage play. No,
it seems in the era of, hey, this is remotely musical, let's make it into a show. There's nothing that, honestly, nothing. Have you ever seen the movie Sing Street?
Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Kids start a band during the 80s. It's great. The music's great. And actually, the music is legitimately great, catchy and whatnot.
And period appropriate and seems not like a pastiche.
It's fun. It's great. It's folks, I would say it's like a scoop of ice cream, but it's got a priest pedophile vibe in there for a little bit. Just a little bit to take the kids out.
Takes place in Ireland.
Ireland. Yeah. So yeah. But it's so great. And I was thinking eventually they'll make this into a terrific musical. And before I can even say that, they made it. It closed and it was terrible. It was that quick. So you're not wrong. They should make one. There's still time.
It'd be good. It'd be
great.
It's weird to me watching the movie of the musical based on the movie, like Hairspray, the musical, the movie, or Mean Girls, the musical, the movie. It's such a weird funhouse mirror of telephone game to get this new version of the movie. I don't get it.
Well, I would say in both those cases, Hairspray, the movie's good.
Yeah.
They got good people, and it's yes, Travolta was great casting, but someone should have reeled him in.
Yeah.
It was evergreen
evergreen statement.
hey, yeah, yes, right. You know, the ones who knew how to do it, like, you know, hey, you know, Quentin Tarantino knew how, like, yeah, John, just take that down. Just take that way down. Like, let's, you know, I'm sure he, you know, like, Sam's got the big energy. You should take that down. Just like someone should have said to Travolta for Hairspray, like, you know what? I'm thinking maybe not the Baltimore accent.
Yeah.
I think everything else you're doing here is great. Maybe not the Baltimore accent. Like, well, why? It's like, because you've got a lot going on already.
Yeah.
You're in drag, and by the way, you're not even playing as drag. You're doing great.
Yeah.
So let's just, you know, but it's one of those things.
I mean, post Battlefield Earth, post Jigsaw in the first Punisher or the second Punisher movie, Travolta. You know, you're gonna get what you get.
I still think it could happen. It could happen. You know, it's like, Travolta will be like, you know, he'll be like the fourth guy in a movie. Like, he won't even be first, second. He'll have like a large cameo like role, and someone will like say, "This is you. This is the part," and I'm gonna go like, "Jesus, he was good."
Yeah,
it could so easily happen because he's great. Yeah. Wow. We're talking about John Travolta way more than I thought.
I know.
In this conversation.
Side note: when I was growing up, our neighbors were these really old people, and they were a little bit strange. And they would occasionally give like me and my sister like gifts. Like, I think they ran a thrift shop, and they would just sometimes be like, "Oh, this, you probably want this." And one time they gave me a book that was a hardcover book of John Travolta's Staying Alive workout.
Jeez.
And I still have it somewhere. It's him in like tiny shorts on the cover. It's from Staying Alive, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever. And I don't know why these like 75-year-old people were like, I bet the young man next door would enjoy this book.
Did you have a particular vibe? Did they think?
I think that probably was it. Yeah, they were
he likes the nerdy stuff, and like,
Yeah.
we're not judging. We're just giving him, you know, we're just giving him the book where Travolta's not wearing a whole lot. I think he might like it.
These physique magazines, do they still sell those? So let's dive in here. Saturday night. What are you doing?
Yes. Oh, God. Well, we could spend the next half hour talking about the WKRP 50th anniversary special.
Yes.
We actually, we're not going to spend time in this. So for one, false advertising.
Yep.
It's like, so for folks. So 8 p.m. on Channel 4, we've got the WKRP 50th anniversary special. Of course, it's not the 50th anniversary of the television show. It's the 50th anniversary of the radio station, the fictional radio station. So I actually looked this up thinking like, what the hell is this?
It's weird. That's a weird, yeah.
It could have been cool, but it's a clip show with Mr. Carlson being interviewed by a reporter reminiscing about his years at the radio station. So it's a clip show about WKRP, which is supposed to then kick off the new WKRP, which I only knew about by talking to you last time.
Yes.
This came, they actually like, would shock me, like, they made another one?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's like in 91. Like, oh, 91, 92. No, I was busy. So I rifled through it, and, so this could have been interesting. They could have actually done an actual anniversary show. It's a lie. It's not. It's just Mr. Carlson, and it's a clip show. It's a good clip show.
Yeah. It's a good overview. This was NBC. They did this a few times around this era. And speaking of SCTV, they actually did this with SCTV. So this 50th anniversary special, 91. So we're talking, 8 years after KRP ended. In 91 also, the summer of 91 or 90, they did an SCTV new episode, and it was Guy Caballero testifying before Congress about SCTV losing their FCC license, and then it was a clip show. And so it was really weird, and they were using it to try and launch a new kind of version of it. But someone at NBC had this idea where they're like, we'll do a new clip show of an old show and use it to launch a new version. And it failed every time.
I mean, maybe failed in the sense of like, this is 91. This is prime channel flipping era, right? This is when you shopped around, right? So, and I think back then they were probably able to tell when you tuned in and when you tuned out. So they might have gotten a couple of butts in the seat because you'd like be flipping around because at 8 o'clock we got championship ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
So, there's some good counter programming going on.
Yeah.
And Police Academy 5.
Yep. Rita Moreno's hosting that ballroom dancing. Yeah. Police Academy 5 is the Miami Beach one. right?
Good God. I was well out of it then. I'm trying to think. Bobcat was not in that one.
No,
right?
no. But you know who is in that one, who make their screen debuts? Two very popular comedians now, Carrot Top.
Really?
And Todd Barry, my friend Todd Barry.
Todd Barry's in Police Academy 5?
Yep.
So he's like 22 or something.
He just started in comedy. Both him and Carrot Top are from Florida. They're in a scene in the airport. I edited a little highlight reel of it for him. But yeah, that's their first movie.
Wow. Their first movie and Michael Winslow's last movie.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
I'm just assuming.
He actually has made a bunch of movies in Russia.
Come on.
I
Michael
swear
Winslow?
to you. Yeah, I interviewed Michael Winslow last year. It was Michael Winslow and Billy West together, which was a lot.
I can't believe I missed that episode.
Yes, I'll send you a link.
Boy.
But Michael Winslow, yeah, Police Academy got so popular in like Russia and in Europe, he would get hired to do these international productions where like, I don't even think he knew what the script was or whatever. They'd have him come in and do a bunch of noises and then they'd make a big movie out of it starring Michael Winslow.
Wow. I mean, yeah. Oh, God. Wouldn't you give money just to see a little bit of it?
Yeah.
Except it's going to be exactly what you think it is.
Of course.
It just makes no sense. And here he is like, oh my God, they're just doing cuts. He's in the same room.
Yeah.
They haven't even tried to, wow. Okay,
2 days and he's in the whole movie. And I've performed with him and I was in bands. He has the biggest pedal board I've ever seen anyone use, but he uses it only for his voice. It's pretty impressive.
Hey, God bless.
Yes,
right?
it's true.
Right? Oh, spectacular.
I noticed a movie I forgot about. It's a made-for-TV movie with Christian Slater in it from '85 called Twisted.
Yeah, I saw that too, and we assume Christian Slater during some troubling times. Yes, a disturbed adolescent Christian Slater terrorizes his sister's babysitter, and you think, wow, holy shit! Again, we're gonna shoot it in like a week. It's all just like on sets or in like one house or two houses and a couple of exteriors. Everyone does their thing and goes home. So I'm guessing a 21, 22-year-old Christian Slater.
If that 85, he had just done Tales from the Dark Side.
Oh, God, it's 85.
Yeah.
No, and he's, okay, you know what? Yeah, for that one, I guess not. Is it a TV movie?
It's a TV movie. So they earn it in 91. This is before he went full Nicholson. He's still kind of a cute kid, like Legend of Billie Jean Christian Slater. But he's playing a psycho. So I'm kind of curious to see this.
Before the Troubles. You know? It's early days for him. That's
before Flatliners, when he didn't come back right. But a very weird thing. And then I was very excited to see this in here. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, but on HBO that night at 9:00, it's a world premiere movie, Cast a Deadly Spell with Fred Ward.
I saw the gigantic ad for it. You and I had a wonderful conversation about HBO and the machinations of HBO. So this is kind of HBO not quite finding its feet yet. Not quite.
Right. Tales from the Crypt is their biggest thing.
Right. This is before, it's not TV, it's HBO.
Right.
No, it's just HBO still at this point. So, yeah, I mean, good Lord. Just looking at if y'all could see the print ad, Los Angeles, 1948, black magic is everywhere. That makes it tough for Detective Harry Lovecraft. He likes to solve crimes the old-fashioned way. And then it's got an inset shot of a monster, which basically looks like a knockoff of one of the Gremlins.
Yeah.
Without the ears.
It's such an afterthought, too. Like, they were like, people won't know there's monsters. Put a monster in there.
And someone says, his name's Harry Lovecraft. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Just shut up. Put a monster in there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we got this one. That looks great. Like, it really doesn't. We didn't really, not a lot of money in the special effects.
We didn't design this to be photographed and blown up in a full-page ad. It really wasn't. That wasn't the idea.
It's going to look great. Doing the shape, just a circle, look like a moon.
Yeah. I don't think it's a man in the moon, but a monster. Okay. But this is actually pretty good. It's yes.
Really?
It was a failed pilot essentially, and so it's a 2-hour movie. Takes place in L.A. in the 1940s. So it has that whole L.A. river system, highways thing, like the Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of plot going.
Yeah.
And
So a little bit Chinatown.
Little Chinatown. Fred Ward is the only guy who refuses to use magic. He's like a war vet, private detective. He won't use magic. Everyone uses magic in LA. And it's a murder mystery. It's like a classic noir. And it's fun. And it failed as a series, but they made a sequel movie on HBO. This is one of the weirdest sequels I can think of that takes place in the 50s. So they move the action 10 years later. And playing the same character that Fred Ward is, Harry Lovecraft,
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper plays this character.
Well, no, I understand why you're confused because it just doesn't seem right or real.
Nope.
You know, and that Dennis Hopper would do this, and well, I'm thinking, I don't know, like it's a couple years later.
It's 94, I think.
Hopper.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper 94, where they're like, oh, who are we going to get to replace Fred Ward?
And they think of 9 other people. Then someone says like Dennis Hopper's available. Like, yeah.
Tell me
so,
more.
Dennis Hopper 94. When was Hoosiers later? Right?
Oh, no, Hoosiers was earlier. Hoosiers was like 88.
Oh, well then this is post Blue Velvet, post
Blue Velvet, pre-Water World.
Pre-Water World. Okay.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Oh, you know, Dennis Hopper's never bad.
True.
Ever. He's in bad things, but you know, man had to eat. So, you know,
Mario Brothers.
We should say Mario Brothers. Everybody in Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Everybody there. You know, they thought it would be better because why wouldn't they?
Of course. Yeah. Of course.
And Fred Ward, shout out Fred Ward. Fred Ward, always amazing.
Yeah.
Never bad.
Remo Williams himself.
Fucking Remo Williams.
Yeah.
Remo Williams is great.
Tremors.
Yes. Oh no. We can go on.
Yeah. So if
never a bad performance.
it's a very interesting, it almost feels like something Mike Mignola would have written as a comic in the early 2000s, but very 91. It doesn't quite have the edge or quite have the magic, but it's no pun intended, but it's worth watching. It's actually, it was such a weird swing in 91.
Yeah, again, I bet they don't quite have the funny. I guess they don't have. We're in the zone now where people complain about it, where there's like this meta irony about people acknowledging that they're a superhero and things like that, acknowledging sort of the weirdness that they've gone too far. And yeah, maybe here and there, but I also kind of like the vibe where you sort of acknowledge like this is a little bit batshit, you know? That it's a little bit weird. I'm sure they're not doing that. It's like, no, we have to do it completely. It's sort of pre-irony. So you have to be very, very earnest about this and the weirdness that everybody in the entire city does magic but me.
Yeah. I'm the guy of the holdout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of taking things seriously, you know what the other dumped in a summer series is that I can recall is Police Squad.
Holy shit. Police Squad was they dropped that in the summer?
Yeah, so I think it's only 6 episodes, maybe 7. It was dumped in the summer. Yep. They were like, no, everyone's gonna hate this.
Was that why, or did they think like this is great and this is a sort of thing that they might actually watch during the summer, or did they actually think it's just garbage?
They thought it was garbage. They dumped it. If it was 10 years later, yeah, maybe they would have been like, oh, we're going to do this in the summer. Because Fox actually post Northern Exposure, which was not a Fox show. Northern Exposure did so well, partially to your point, because nothing good or new was on in the summer. So in the summer of 93, Fox decided to do all their teenage shows, new season, in the summer. Because they're like, kids are home. Beverly Hills 90210, we're going to do a summer series. They're at the beach. Parker Lewis season 3 is over the summer. Like they were like, we're they'll be the only ones with new episodes. And it sort of worked, but didn't.
Well, it was smart enough that they know that teenagers, they don't drive. They're going to be like, you know, doing their thing during the summer. They're going to go home and they watch television at night. If we give them something to watch, they'll get in front of the TV.
Yeah.
Instead of watching, you know, are they going to be watching? We should talk about it. Are they going to be watching Cops? Are they going to be watching Cops? We should talk about Cops, though.
Yeah, Cops. I watched it every Saturday night for years. I still feel bad about it. It is in here.
Yes, it is. I mean, Cops, I happen to know a little bit of information on it. It is one of the longest running shows ever on television. I mean, it's up there with The Simpsons. Now, it has some starts and stops, including they decided to stop production when Mr. Floyd was murdered by police officers. Like, this is not a good time to have cops walking around with cameras and stuff. Let's just stop making the show. But they came back a whopping year later, and I think it's actually, I don't know if the new seasons are running in the United States. I believe it plays internationally. I know far too much about Cops. Cops, one of the earliest reality TV programs.
87.
And the question has to be asked over and over again. For those who don't know, Cops is police officers, real life police officers being followed around with the cameras, arresting people.
Cops is filmed on location with the men and women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Yeah, you know your stuff. Yeah. Bravo, sir. Okay, my question is, how did they get these people to sign releases? How did that happen?
I'll
how
tell
did they
you.
Agree to be? Do tell. You have info?
Yes.
How did it happen?
So Cops was a brilliant idea that Fox had. So a Fox executive, when Fox the network first started, realized that most states had on the books a ride-along law, which meant that any member of the public could request a police ride-along and can go sit in a cop car and go on a shift with them because they're public servants. So they looked into it, and there's nothing stopping you from bringing a camera for ride-alongs. So they said, we basically have a free show. We can do this show for free because we have a right to do ride-alongs. So that was step one. Step two.
Mouth agape. Everyone, if you're watching me, my jaw's on the floor.
Yep.
Go on.
Brilliant idea,
on.
right? Step two, and they didn't figure this out till a few seasons in, which is why the first couple seasons you see them in a lot of different cities. But then eventually they kind of whittle it down to about 4 cities. And it's only those 4 cities that the rest of the episodes are in. And the reason there is, in those states, if you commit a crime in public, you have no right to not sign a release. Your face is in the public record in those states.
Wow. That is, here I thought the only sort of nefarious part of it was that, it's cheap.
Sure.
It cost nothing, and Fox was very, very happy about that. And it might have even given birth, I think, during one of the writer's strikes. It was one of the only new bits of programming out there. But wow. So how to circumvent the rights of the citizens.
Yep.
It's really, holy shit.
Yep.
Wow.
Because in the early episodes, it was actually more fly on the wall, and they would actually take the person from arrest all the way through processing and after. Like, you would kind of get an interesting story about the system. And then literally by 91, this is when they started doing like clip shows called like Ho Ho Ho's and all taser specials. And like, I'm not even making those up. Those are real. Wow. They had a Christmas special called Ho Ho Ho's that was all sex workers being arrested. Oof.
Oh, you look at that, like, it's amazing we survived as a species. It's really one of those memes.
It
Wow.
really is. It really is.
Drunk guys in tank tops.
Yep.
Yelling at, it's just...
claiming...
I watched.
A claim that I used to do a bit about on stage, but I can't really justify it anymore. But the only place I've ever heard people claim the pants they were wearing were not their own. Every episode. And I was like, this has never happened. I've never heard of anyone putting on pants that are not theirs. Like, maybe a shirt, maybe even shoes, but certainly not pants.
Well, what do you got here, man? It looks like that's not mine.
Those aren't my pants.
Looks like you got some crack. It looks like crack to me. Like, those aren't my pants. Yeah. You're wearing. I know. I put them on. I just found them.
I just found
pants?
them. Yeah.
Put them on. So you were walking around without any pants, and like, I found these.
Yeah.
That is not mine. You can't prove that they're mine.
Not my pants.
Can you?
Like, it's funny because I believe anything. Like a jacket. Okay, you threw a jacket on that's not yours. I don't know.
Right.
Anything else but pants. Every episode.
Yeah. It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot.
Yeah. One of my there's 2 Boston comics, the Walsh brothers, and their brother is a cop. And in the last batch of episodes they shot in Boston, he's one of the cops they follow.
Really?
And it's so weird.
It's got to be bizarre.
I love the Boston ones. There's some early Boston ones where there's one where they're in Lynn, Mass, and they arrest a bookie, and the bookie's getting calls to place bets on the game. So the police chief's there, and he's answering the phone, and he's like, Jim, what's the over-under on the Celtics game? This guy wants to know. Okay. And he's taking bets for the bookie.
Because, People got to bet. I
Yeah.
mean, who am I?
You might let them. I don't want to ruin their day,
Hey, God, spectacular. You had me at they're arresting a bookie. It's like I want to see that. I do. A Boston bookie.
Oh yeah, he's this old guy.
No, it's just like, it's different when we're laughing at like, oh, look at this guy's on drugs.
Yeah.
Screaming his head off, pointing to the house next door. It's like they're coming to get me.
Yeah.
And the great god Krepla. And that was an actual,
Yeah.
that's an actual quote.
Oh, I recall that one.
I remember watching it with my dad, and he's like, did he say Krepla? It's like, yeah.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
It's
did.
like it's like a Jewish dumpling, a wonton soup. No, that's what he said.
Great Kepler. It's a monster.
Yeah, it's a monster.
Although I love that Cinemax that night to sort of counter program cops. Speaking of SCTV, is showing Armed and Dangerous with John Candy.
I saw that too. Yeah. That is like a perfect flip to 90s floating around. Like, I'll watch this for a little while.
Yeah,
fine.
It really is. Good toxic waste jokes in there.
Oh yeah. I mean, also up right there is that you got cat people.
Yep.
But you got cat people on USA. So it means the edited version, which there's no point in watching this movie.
Nope.
Because at this era, I mean, actually when it came out in 82.
82, yeah.
Yeah, so when I'm watching it as a 12-year-old on whatever cable station I'm watching, I'm just waiting for the nudity.
Yeah.
That's all. That's why I'm there. I mean, staying for the nudity and then, crazy Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah.
So that's a flip too.
On USA Network, you're just watching a movie about Malcolm McDowell sweating.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. And, and then waiting for the Ed Begley scene where he gets his arm ripped off.
Decent David Bowie theme.
Oh, I know cat people we were in the golden era of cable doesn't have a lot to show. So they'll take, when they've got something decent now, like premium cable, like all this week, Presumed Innocent is on HBO at least once a day.
Yep.
At least once a day at some point. And this was the norm. This is pre-streaming. This is when you had to go to a video store to get something still. So, so you would watch Presumed Innocent, a little bit every day.
Yeah. And it's
on.
always there.
Yeah.
You might even,
I like this part.
I'm looking on pay-per-view on Sunday night. You might even pay to watch King Ralph.
You might. Yeah. King Ralph, not bad.
It's okay.
Would I pay for it?
Nope.
No, but I would flip to it if it was there.
Absolutely.
I would do it.
Although I'm
unlike
not,
some of the rest of these.
I'm looking at Cinemax on Sunday night, and I'm like, Big Top Pee-wee, followed by Batman 89, followed by Hardware.
Yeah, Hardware is kind of the weird mix there. We understand what they're doing with Pee-wee and Batman.
Although Hardware is a comic movie. I think it's technically in Heavy Metal. Was it a ripped off Heavy Metal?
Yeah. Slightly different vibe.
Little different vibe, not a kid's thing.
Yes. Have we slid the Sunday, sir?
Oh, yes, I slid to Sunday. Sorry.
Okay. Well, no. What is Saturday was like, we're not going to talk about Dear John, which I watched quite a bit and have no memory of anything.
Very sad. Remake of a UK show.
Really?
Oh, the original Dear John is really sad. It's the most bittersweet, dark comedy. And the remake's okay. And I think mostly because Judd Hirsch's persona really does a lot of the heavy lifting.
Right.
But it shows you the prime example of the difference between UK and US comedy.
Yeah, that it was like they managed to make a bittersweet comedy about, okay. And in this case, it's, they're just going for the jokes and very broad characters, which
Kirk
were good. I mean, does he pronounce his name Jerry Burns? Is his pronounced
Jerry Burns, yeah.
Jerry Burns is great. Jerry Burns is terrific in this, just playing a sleazeball, and it's Tom Willett.
Yep.
So Tom Willett doing a nerd, which doesn't. They're beyond cartoonish.
Yeah.
But they're also very good and kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I said I wouldn't talk about Dear John, but we are.
We just did. That's what happens. Sorry.
We did. Dear John, then Night Court, then John Goodman is hosting SNL.
Promoting
Faith
King Ralph.
No More. Promoting King Ralph. Promoting goddamn King Ralph. Probably. It's a repeat. With Faith No More, 1991. This is pre-grunge.
Yep.
Faith No More doing the hard work, pushing up against the hair metal.
Yep. Playing
Doing
Epic,
the
I
heavy lifting
imagine.
for us all.
Post We Care a Lot. This is
I think so.
the Mike Patton
right?
Epic era. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they had a couple.
Yeah.
Just a couple. They would have hung in there a little bit longer until grunge came around. Okay, anyway. Sunday, sir. where to even begin. Shall we begin with NBC's primetime cartoon spectacular?
Yes. Yeah.
Should we begin with that?
Yes. Because there's
What is amazing about the cartoon spectacular and the full page ad they have here is that I'm a professional cartoonist. For those of you who are playing at
Yes.
home, I know I have a deep and rich history. When it comes, I have knowledge of a deep and rich history of cartoons. They are promoting 4 cartoons that I know nothing about.
I'm
did not know
envious
they
of you.
existed. Oh, really?
They're bad.
So I'm gonna name them one by one, starting with the lowest to highest as far as like Jesus. We'll start with Space Cats, which is what I'm sure it's cats in space.
Yes.
Then we've got Yo Yogi.
Yes.
So those gang, it's Yo, comma Yogi, exclamation point. I see a small shot of Yogi. He's got a popped collar. Yeah. His sleeves rolled up, so he's kind of an 80s Yogi. I don't know what's going on here, but you know it ain't good.
It's when they kidified everybody. So this was a teenage Yogi in the Yogi clan, but they were also hip and urban and rapped.
Oh, I might need to lay down. That's even worse than I imagined. Oh God. And then you got our 2 top shelf ones. You got Wish Kid, starring Macaulay Culkin, which no idea. You do? What's it about? He's got a dog and he's got a baseball.
This has the worst pitch ever. They were like, what if a kid was a Make-A-Wish kid, but he could make a wish about anything magical, and he also wasn't going to die. So every day he has a wish. So it's like a Make-A-Wish kid, but he's not. And so it became this Macaulay Culkin show where he has a wish every episode that he uses to like help people or whatever. But it's bad.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I deeply enjoy that they came out of like, we want to do a show about the Make-A-Wish.
Like a cartoon, something fun.
Like a cartoon or something fun. It's like, they're all dying.
Yeah.
This is like the last thing. Like, no, I know. I'm just saying, I think there might be something there.
Kids love this thing. They love it.
They do. I'm going to throw a name out there. Macaulay Culkin. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, okay. It's like, I heard his people kind of like the idea. Okay. If we can get away from the dying part, I know, but that's sort of like, okay.
Well, where's the wishing come in that? And this is, believe it or not, the second Saturday morning cartoon on NBC in 10 years that was based on kids with cancer.
What is wrong with people? Oh, man.
The first one was called Little Clowns of Happy Town.
You're making this up.
I swear to you, this is true. No, the guy who created this show he would go as a clown to the cancer warded hospitals, and so he was like, kids love clowns, and it makes the sick kids happy. So he pitched this show as a cartoon of like a whole town of clowns, and they made it for 1 season, and it is terrifying and terrible.
Wow. It's amazing when you can get through the door. Yeah. It's wow. And speaking of getting through the door, then there's this last one. I'm still thinking about the clowns. There's Pro Stars, which I got to say, Pro Stars sounds like it smells like medication.
It does.
It sounds like something that should come with a warning.
Yeah.
But gang, it's not that. It's an animated program about Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Wayne Gretzky.
Yep.
I'm just getting that from looking at the ad here.
Yeah.
You apparently can know about Pro Stars?
Yeah, this is exactly what it looks like. Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Wayne Gretzky travel around in a van together and solve crimes.
Of course they do. Of course they do. Because why put any energy into any of it at all? I got asked, did any of them do the actual voices?
No.
Okay. Good for them.
Yeah. I think they did live action wraparounds.
There you go.
They clearly all shot in one day,
Hey, somebody somewhere said, in the Beatles' Yellow Submarine, they don't actually do the voices, but they did a couple ins and outs. We can do that.
People won't notice.
Okay. People won't notice.
It's the rock and wrestling.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They'll be great.
We'll get Brad Garrett to do everyone's voice.
That'll be fine. We'll all win. Everyone's good.
Yeah, awful year. None of those shows lasted more than 1 season. This was the tail end of Saturday mornings.
Yeah, no, this is 91, so we're just getting towards the death of Saturday morning television, and they'll have to figure out some way to sell cereal to children. They're not quite there yet.
Although the Disney had kind of figured it out with the afternoons during the weekdays with their Disney Afternoon, and this was the season they debuted Darkwing Duck.
There you go. Yeah. No, it made a shift. It did. It made an animation shift, and this is a little bit before Cartoon Network, but Nickelodeon took off, and from reruns they could show Looney Tunes in the afternoons. It was always good in the afternoons. So yeah, there was money to be made there. Believe me, I know. But here we were, Pro Stars.
So you're not going to pitch a Pro Stars reboot?
No. No.
You're not the guy.
No, but if I come up with some kind of foot ointment that you're not supposed to use while operating heavy machinery, do not take Pro Stars while operating heavy machinery.
Call a doctor.
Yeah, Pro Stars.
Yeah.
Hey, kid you not, on the very next page, there's an ad for something called Pronto Lice Treatment.
That's right.
Pronto is not far off from Pro Stars.
It really isn't.
Okay?
If you were
Pronto Lice Treatment.
your kid has lice, here's a coupon for $1 off Pro Stars.
Yep. Yeah. Serious.
Wow.
But hey,
yeah.
in this case, it's like Gretzky, Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan. We're going to go to a room for 3 hours and do the wraparounds and take some money and go home.
Yep.
Good for them.
They learned how to do it with Mr. T and the T-Force.
Yes, and that one I know.
Yeah.
That one is like, oh. But he did the voice. He did the voice.
He did the voice
right?
in that, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have it.
Phil Lamar has some amazing stories about that because he was a high school kid doing the voice on that. And, oh, yeah.
I know Phil a little bit. Phil and I are buddies. At some point, I keep forgetting. Like, I want all the Mr. T stories go.
You got to get them.
Like, no, we're not going to talk about anything else. We're not going to catch up. I'm not going to tell you about my children. You're not going to talk about yours. I just want to know. Simply, give me all the Mr. T stories. Yeah. That'll happen.
Yes, that'll be a great day. So you're watching that.
So Sunday, we got Evening Shade, which is, again, it's another show that I watched, not like Dear John, and I remember enjoying quite a bit. Probably, it had a quality to it. Again, I'm dark time for television. Not great. Like, the best thing out of that was Michael Jeter.
Yes.
And maybe the fact that, Burt Reynolds had yet another comeback and blew it by cheating on Lonnie Anderson.
Yes.
Like, dude, everyone welcomed you back. You won a goddamn Emmy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just, you could just rode this out forever, And then he had a, third swing at that with Boogie Nights. He managed to blow that too.
Yep.
Anyway, watch some Evening Shade. And then I'd probably have to flip around a little bit because we had two good movies on that evening. There's Golden Pond, and Charlie.
Shot in Boston.
Shot in Boston. Like, it's a good movie. Still holds up.
Yep.
Still holds up.
1968.
Both not exactly uppers.
No, God, no.
No. I mean, and old, Golden Pond, like 81. Charlie, 68. But yeah, I think I would have flipped back and forth, between those two until I found that Presumed Innocent is on, it's on HBO yet again this night. And, I'm going to watch that because I wasn't watching at 9:30. And you know what I'm going to say, right?
Yeah.
The premiere episode of Herman's Head.
Yeah.
I was not watching Herman's Head.
It wasn't bad.
That's what I hear. 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Quality acting. People and kind of experimental, making an effort, trying to do something different. And everyone tells me, like, if you watch it, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And you think, like, can't possibly be.
It's most of the Simpsons cast, and it's basically that movie Inside, that Disney movie.
Yeah. It is Inside Out for grown-ups, done as a series. And my understanding is, I got to check it out because apparently it has a vibe. But
yeah.
Yes, right here we are. Yes, this week it premiered and changed the world forever.
And this was Fox who, again, they premiered their new season a week before everyone else. So this was their taking a swing because it's the season premiere of Married with Children that night, which is this season's a real bum out because they Katie Sagal was pregnant in real life, so they wrote it into the show, and she ended up losing the baby, and so they had to just drop it. Like, just
my
whole season they just dropped it and like never spoke of it.
Oh wow! I'm not gonna be able to shake that one off for a little bit.
That's rough.
That is some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have to look it up. I guess it begs the question: how far along was she? I guess she was showing, and they had to write it.
Because they made a big deal out of it because infamously on TV shows there were so many actors on TV shows who were pregnant, and they would all be like, "Why is that character always holding a beach ball?" Or like, "She's got a fruit basket." And so they made a thing out of like, "We're not going to hide it. We're having it in the show," and it was like, "Oh no."
It's in an ad.
Yeah.
Here it is in an ad. Peg's got another announcement to make. There's another Bundy in the oven, and it's a lot less funny now.
It's
Jeez.
rough. Do you know On Golden Pond's connection to television?
No.
So Newhart,
Remind me.
Newhart, the 1982 80s Bob Newhart show, the opening credits of that, which it's set in Vermont. There's all sort of B-roll of Vermont. That's all leftover footage from on Golden Pond shot in New Hampshire.
That's great. Oh God, I love those stories. I love those stories. Oh, it's like Spielberg catching an episode of The Incredible Hulk and finding footage from The Duel.
Yeah.
Like that's in Duel. Like what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And then calling up and saying, "Don't do that anymore." It's like, well, it's in your contract. And later, after that, Steven Spielberg learning, like, I got to put it in my contract that they can't use my footage for television shows. You just got to love it. They cobbled that crap together. That's fun.
Yeah.
Another reason to like Newhart.
Oh yeah, I love
Another
that
reason
show.
to like Newhart. Oh, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, so I would recommend Herman's Head. Worth checking out.
I will.
It's decent.
Okay. I'm curious. Never seen it, and also I want to be surprised.
Hank Azaria, Yardley Smith, like good cast.
I mean everybody.
Yeah,
it's a solid cast, like everybody. So okay, all right. So yes, ran 3 seasons.
Yep.
Made a little bit of a go of it.
Yep.
Didn't quite get to 100 episodes.
No.
So and this is when syndication still mattered.
Yep.
All you got to do is look at TV Guide.
Few Fox shows at that era made it into syndication.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah, well, they were trying shit.
Well, they
were
did
changing
Whoops,
television. I mean,
Babes.
right? Oh, well, hey, they also. What year did they? Because it's in here that they moved The Simpsons off its sweet spot on Sunday. They moved it to go up against the Cosby Show.
Yep. 1990. It was because Simpsons was a mid-season show. It kicked off with the Christmas special.
Right.
So the beginning of the second season, I believe, that's when they were like, "We're taking on Cosby."
Yeah, and didn't work really. I mean, people still watched. I guess it was counter programming. People who, but Cosby is still the biggest thing in the whole wide world for it stayed at number 1. Right up until just like the very end.
Yeah, they didn't have to end that show. They chose to end that show.
They chose to. Yeah. No, like all the kids are grown up, moved out, and it's like, hey, we got some more kids in here. We're fine. We'll keep going.
Yep.
But he, let's make the dark jokes while we can. He had enough money and apparently had other interests.
Yeah.
Mr. Cosby. So,
Nightmare,
so, an actual monster.
When Leonard Part 6 isn't the worst thing you've done some terrible things to people.
Oh, God. Yes. Oh, just an actual monster who, it cuts me to the core.
Yeah.
I was a huge Bill Cosby
Same.
fan. So
His stand-up was a
on every
huge
level.
influence on, I feel bad for that cast, amazing ensemble cast. Yeah.
Yeah. No, okay. Well, we're not going to do this.
No, Monday.
We're not gonna spend any time on Cosby. Monday. We're falling deep into the territory of, again, like shows that I watched and, so we did Evening Shade. I watched Major Dad and I remember liking it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like I remember him being kind of solid and kind of funny. And if you put a gun to my head, I could not tell you one episode. Gun to my head. And I remember watching it a bunch because it was probably what was on. It's there. And it was pretty funny.
Yeah, Gerald McRaney, watchable.
You know what? I like his third act too, right? He's doing great shit.
Yeah,
right
Mr. Delta Burke.
Right. He was Mr. Delta Burke for a long time, and and he was great on Deadwood. He was so great on Deadwood.
Built for that too. Like you see him in that and you're like, of course you have Gerald McRaney. Why wasn't he doing this?
Didn't realize how perfect you were until you were doing it and played it. It was just, he's great. Even This Is Us, he had a recurring small part. Just, I like me some Gerald McRaney. He's still working for me, and here he was funny. He was really, really funny, almost made me want to go back and watch Simon and Simon, but I assume I shouldn't, right, Ken?
I've not gone that far. Yeah, Simon and Simon, because I've tried to go back and watch Magnum, and that's unwatchable. And to me, Simon and Simon is a network executive going, go with me on this. Magnum, there's 2 of them. One of them's a little nerdy.
I love it. Let's do it. I'm not even done yet. No, it works for me. One of them is a cowboy. Good.
Perfect.
One of them kind of wears a suit like a yuppie. Great. Let's do it.
We'll get that.
Okay.
We'll get that Dukes of Hazzard audience. We'll get that Miami Vice crowd. Perfect.
Why are we sitting here? Why are you still sitting in my office?
Get me a plane to Hawaii right now.
Go make this show. Go. It'd be great if it had 2 names.
Yeah.
Sorry? 2 names, because you want to get away from the Magnum thing. Like Heart to Heart, but not that.
Right. So Magnum and Magnum? No.
No, you're not listening to me. Like, just go. Come back when you think of something.
Simon Says no, but better.
Oh, it's like that.
Yeah.
You're getting there. You are getting there. I have other shows to talk about now. Okay. So who can redo the A-Team? Come here. Everyone in my office.
Get Canal on the phone. There's two of the worst things I remember. They pumped all this money into a show called The Adventures of Mark and Brian. Do you recall this show?
No, but okay. Yes, I do, in the sense that I remember it existed, and then when I looked at this TV guide that we're looking at, it's like, oh right, Mark and Brian had a TV show. What a weird time we lived in.
Yeah.
That they managed to get a TV, like Howard Stern's got a TV show. Why can't we get a TV show? We're nice. We both have mullets.
Yes.
We're not exactly bad looking. We're tan. We're kind of California. Can we like go on adventures? It's like, and this is pre-reality television.
Yeah.
So they would just, I'm trying to think if there was anything to compare it to where we just like go do things. Like, which is what they do. We'll go, I don't know. We'll go this one
they perform with the Temptations, and they go, it's like, it was almost like you bet your life, not you bet your life, like you asked for it, but they would do it,
Somewhere between you asked for it and real people if it was stupid.
Yes.
Instead of actually finding real people, we're going to go and do the things with the real people, and it'll be funny.
Yeah.
Except it isn't. And I assume one season, right?
Not even.
Right?
Not even.
Oh.
They pumped tons of money in, and it was canceled by Christmas.
Oh, well, it's nice. That's good.
Yeah.
It gives you hope for the culture that people were like not that into it, because it's, oh god.
Yeah, morning zoo, like classic morning zoo radio DJs, like someone who was like, it's almost like the Magnum Simon and Simon. They're like, look, I got 2 Rick D's here. And they're younger.
There they go. And it's like, okay. And they both got kind of interesting hair.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by interesting? Like, they kind of look stupid. Okay, I can do that. We can work with stupid.
Like if a man had a woman's haircut, but it's really badly done.
Ooh.
I'm with you.
I'm liking how this sounds. Okay. Keep talking.
Oh, then there's
Did Mad Cow ever get a TV show?
He did. He had a talk show.
Of course he did.
But he tried to do like a Rush Limbaugh type show. Like it was more like that. But that guy was angling for TV shows forever. He was on every talk show. He'd show up on anything that like just desperate for a show.
He's a terrible person, right? Because I assume I was on a show like via satellite one time, and that was unpleasant, and never heard anything nice ever.
No,
ever a single time. The less said, the better.
That radio kind of guy, like, so let me tell you something. I love Howard Stern, and hey, you ever see that girl's boobies? like what?
That is shockingly like so well done, sir.
Yeah.
That's right on point. That's a very, very good impression.
Yeah.
Wow.
All it's missing is the gruff guy voice who does the and that some girl laughing, and then you have the whole morning radio show.
Painful.
Yeah. Glad that era is over, mostly.
Yes. Okay. So Monday night is it's when Northern Exposure was on.
Yep.
Which repeat of a seminal episode where Maggie's boyfriend dies.
Yes.
Her boyfriend's always died, and I'm forgetting. You probably know. What's the name of the actor who played her boyfriend? The handsome
Grant Goodeve.
Yeah. So he played her. It was perfect casting. Because he's like, he is the embodiment of like a man's man from like 1991. Like, he was perfect. And then he died. I believe he was hit by a satellite.
Yep.
If I remember
Falling
correctly.
satellite.
Yeah. Yeah. Phenomenal. It's a great show.
And obviously Maurice has to talk about it because he's an ex-astronaut.
Yeah. It's just, there's so many. Oh, God. Everything about the show I love.
It's great.
A couple of things I need to share. So, so Marilyn, who doesn't speak, that she was accidentally cast in the show. You heard this story?
No.
Oh, I get to tell you. Oh, wonderful. This is a old school Hollywood story with a twist. So Marilyn's mother was the actor. She went in to audition, and they met her daughter. Like literally, like she came with her. They did the thing. It only happens like in old Hollywood. They said, would your daughter be interested in reading for this too? And apparently her vibe was more interesting than her mother's vibe. Her mother does show up, I believe, playing her mother at one point. But there she was, and she apparently she was someone who just like didn't speak better.
And it's weird to have like a younger woman be like the like the office manager at your your medical practice. So it makes sense they would have shot to cast for like an older woman.
Yeah, it kind of fits the vibe, but apparently this Marilyn worked better. Her given name is I'm looking it up. So Elaine Miles.
Yes.
Elaine Miles, who was great.
She's so funny.
And oh yeah, I mean that is like, this is great. It's great storytelling. Okay, because she doesn't do much acting. She's incredibly subtle. It's just her persona. She does a little tiny bit, and they write the shit out of her. They have all these things happen around her and to her and through her, which are just amazing. I've in speaking to actual Indigenous people who I've gotten to know a little bit, at one point I said, okay, does anyone here know the show Northern Exposure? Can I talk to you about it? And most of the people I've met are too young, but they'll say like, my parents watched it and liked it. It's like, so it was okay? It's like, yeah. No, it was good, actually. They actually say, it was good.
Yeah.
They weren't treated shitty. They're treated like real people. There's honest to goodness characters. Now, Marilyn's actually Indigenous. The actor who played Ed is not.
No.
So
his father,
Darren Burroughs,
is Billy, I'm like Drago. Billy Drago. It's Billy Drago's son.
oh my God, I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. I'm trying to look here. Yes. God. Yeah, and how fascinating is that? He's actually a blonde.
Yeah.
He had to dye his hair black for 5 years while working on the show. But by the way, Ed's great.
Yeah.
Ed's one of the greatest
Just
characters in the show.
sweet, weird, great character.
Oh, and just the little twist they gave him is that like he's kind of weird, talks in that way, and has an encyclopedic knowledge of film.
Yep.
And it's a weird thing to have, and it was so fun, and it made for great television.
In a pre-internet age too, for like, because it was more impressive for a guy like that who was in the middle of nowhere to have that encyclopedic knowledge. Like, you're like, that guy really would have had to work for that,
Right. Oh, it like throws things out. Like, it's like, no, it's like, it was done as an offshoot of The Searchers.
Yeah.
It was done in 1951 and like knows the director, like just not showing off. It just comes up in conversation.
Do you know the Rob Morrow, someone came along with him for casting story? Weirdly?
No.
Rob Morrow.
These guys couldn't help themselves.
Yeah.
They kept looking into the waiting room.
Yes.
Go on.
Rob Morrow goes in to read for a movie. He didn't have a car at the time, so his roommate in L.A. drove him there. His roommate got the part. The movie was Nightmare on Elm Street. His roommate, Johnny Depp, who was not an actor.
Oh my God. My oh my God is like, how did I not know this? I'm never going to not tell people. There's no one for the rest of my life that I'm not going to try and worm this into conversation. That's amazing. Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I thought I knew things.
And then they starred in that Hot Resort movie after that. Was it Hot Resort?
Yeah.
Yeah. Private Resort. Yeah.
Private Resort.
Yeah. It's so bad. But
that's horrendous.
Johnny Depp throwing Rob Morrow a bone.
That's amazing. Oh my God. No idea. But again, hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, you sort of understand. Like Rob Morrow comes in here. Rob Morrow, great actor, good-looking guy, but someone like leaned their head and like, did you see his friend? Like,
yeah,
sorry.
And also
his friend's sitting out here.
He does not have like a Midwest high school kid vibe.
Not at all.
No.
Not even a little bit. No. I mean, he completely looks like Joel Fleischman. Yeah. It was a perfect marriage of actor and part.
Yeah.
And later with everything else he did, perfect marriage of actor and part, which is like. His buddy is like, it's like, we're out here, like, and there isn't anybody in this room who doesn't want to have sex with this kid.
Yeah.
It's like, really? It's like, just look at him. It's like, what's he doing? He's cleaning his nails with a knife. Yeah. I don't know. It's like,
Is he an actor?
Like,
nope.
No. I asked him, like, are you an actor? And he just like kept laughing at me and like not even making eye contact.
I moved out to play in bands. I just drove. You're in the movie.
Just get him in here. Like, just tell him how much money it is.
Morrow must have been so pissed.
Can you imagine? Yeah. I mean, because he's no dope. He said like one of those goddamn Hollywood stories happened to me.
Yeah, he's like, I could have taken the bus if I took the bus.
Like, nah, man, it wouldn't have been you anyway.
No, never would have been.
No.
Yeah, it would have been Anthony Edwards would have got that part.
Would have been Anthony Edwards. Anthony got him. That's an actor. Yeah, he had some hair and motherfucker looked pretty Midwest back then. It would have been perfect.
Have you ever seen
good.
Miracle Mile?
Yeah. Yeah.
So good, Anthony Edwards.
There's nothing he's not great in.
In Comic Book Connection, do you know who did the storyboards for Miracle Mile?
No.
Paul Chadwick.
No. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Paul Chadwick did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He's good buddies with Steve DeJarnette. And so for people who haven't ever read Paul Chadwick's Concrete, it's like it's one of the best comics ever. It's basically The Thing if he lived in a world where no one else was a superhero and is just trying to live his life. But Steve DeJarnette got Paul Chadwick into doing storyboards. So that was like one of the first movies he did storyboards for.
Paul Chadwick, I worked with him. I did a Star Wars story. Paul Chadwick illustrated it. It was a very short conversation when I'm talking to Dark Horse Comics, and they asked me like, "So the artist we're thinking about is Paul Chadwick." I said, "Yeah, for what? For the story? What story? The story? This story? Like my Star Wars story?" It's like, "Yeah." Do you think Paul Chadwick would like? Would he be good for it? Like Paul Chadwick wants to do this?
Yes.
Like,
Do you have something on him?
It's like and by the way, it's a story I'm still incredibly proud of. Like and Paul fucking Chadwick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. So weird. Miracle Mile, Paul Chadwick. Yep. Incredible.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is that movie is so well shot, and you could tell it was storyboarded. It's so great. Yeah.
All right. Before we leave,
Yep.
Northern Exposure. Two last Northern Exposure things.
Yep.
One. If I play a clip on my computer, can we pick it up?
Yeah, probably.
Will it pick up on audio?
Yeah, it should.
Okay. So if I can set the scene, a recurring character was Graham Greene. Graham Greene plays a recurring character as a medicine man. And there's an episode called Rosebud, which has Peter Bogdanovich is in.
Yep.
The A story, if you can call it the A story, is that Ed's trying to put together like a Sundance-like film festival. And he's not really putting the time in, and Maurice is getting pissed, and that he even brings Peter Bogdanovich in, who's going to be like a guest lecturer to talk about, Orson Welles and shit. And he has dinner with Maurice, and it's hilarious. Bogdanovich is a vegetarian, so nothing that Maurice has cooked can he eat. And at one point, Maurice gets mad. He says, like, Ed, like, what the hell is this? He said, you're supposed to be doing a film festival and getting some like new films in here, and you got this old director talking about Orson Welles and eating my tomatoes, and just fucking kills me. Okay, but so the B story is Graham Greene, who plays Leonard. He's a medicine man, and he's going through town, and he explains it in this clip I'm going to show. And he's going through town, and he wants to find the modern myths that white people that they sort of use as inspiration through their lives. And okay, I'm going to try and play it now. Let's see if this works.
Hello, Leonard. Here on business or pleasure?
Well, I suppose you'd call it business, research, cross-referencing.
Not a fact.
I have clients in the white community. People are starting to assimilate. The more I know about white culture, its mythology, its medicine, so on, the more I can expand my practice. I thought I'd start with the stories.
What stories?
The healing stories.
I'm afraid I'm not with you, Leonard.
Well, traditionally, healers such as myself found that storytelling has great curative powers. People are fortified by parables, legends you might call them. In our culture, the theme is frequently some act of faith or perseverance. I'm looking for parallel stories in the white culture, expressions of the collective unconscious.
You mean folk stories like Paul Bunyan?
Yeah, I know about him. A mythic logger, right? What exactly was his story?
Well, he was this 10-foot-tall logger who had an ox.
I thought that was Danny Moore.
Let me ask you, how does this character's story impact on your life? Are you aware of his influence in your daily activities?
I have gone for years without ever even thinking about him.
Interesting.
Okay, the line in there is Hollington Core when he asks him, like, how has Paul Bunyan affected your day-to-day life? He thinks, he goes, I have gone years without even thinking about him. I must think about this once a week. And it has become a household expression among me and my wife to describe how one might be underwhelmed by something. And how insignificant this possibly is.
Yeah.
Like, I have gone years without even thinking about it. And again, there's many things I think about Northern Exposure. This literally is like my go-to. How I possibly describe. Oh my God, means nothing to me.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah, it's Paul Bunyan.
It's Paul Bunyan. And how does this affect your day-to-day life? And Holling, if you got to watch the clip, folks, go find it. He thinks on it. He said, I've gone years without even thinking about him. It's like, I love it so much.
And Holling's such a good character. Like, again, an old man married to a much younger woman, but not ever presented as a creep or not ever presented also as like you go, man, you got like it, just super matter of fact. And like, they have a good relation. Like I've never seen a character like that on another show.
No, they said I watched it recently and it still manages to work. It doesn't seem, I mean, he's so much older than her, but he's a gentleman. And there's something to that. I mean, that's the thing. I think they understood, like, he's always going to be a gentleman. He loves her. She kind of talks about their sex life way more than him. And he, and it just works, and it shouldn't. And also he's, he's strong as hell. There's like that aspect to him. Like, he can kill you, but he doesn't do that anymore. Nope. He doesn't hunt anymore, and he doesn't beat people up anymore. He's done.
Right.
Gave it up for her. It's great.
He would be the main character in any other show where he's like an action hero who's trying to retire and have a nice quiet life and, ends up having to A-team his way out of stuff. Like that's who they would build that show around on any other kind of take on that. Yes.
And in this case, he gets an entire, B story in an episode where his much younger wife redecorates their bedroom all in pink and kittens and stuff.
Yes.
And it is so feminine, he can't shit.
Yes.
That's the plot. He has not taken a shit since she did this.
All been there.
And, well, Rob Morrow asked him, like, well, we all miss a day or two. And he goes, I haven't. It's like, I'm sorry? I haven't. It's like, I'm sorry, Holling, you have not gone a day without a bowel movement ever? Not until now. And it only ends with him saying, like, what are you going to do? It's like, you got to tell her. You got to tell her. This is unhealthy. No, I'm going to acclimate. He's just going to sit in the room and get used to it.
Because he wants to make her happy. Yeah.
He wants to make her happy. Again, just chef kiss. It works every time.
That's the best show.
Last Northern Exposure note. Last thing. I was cast on The Real World, and I found out later they thought I was going to be a Joel Fleischman type. They thought I was told they thought I was going to be, Jewish, kind of obnoxious, kind of like sort of sand in the Vaseline. They thought that was going to be my vibe. Turns out that was not my vibe.
Nope.
But, it's, so I held a special place for Joel Fleischman in my heart because they thought that was me. And it turns out not me.
You've never met Rob Morrow, I presume.
I have not.
We have to make that happen so you can tell him that.
I don't. I have a sense he might not appreciate that.
I don't know. Maybe he might by this point.
He might have mellowed, right? I mean, dude's like,
I think he's mellowed. He does a lot of music and stuff now.
Yeah.
I've talked to him about doing the show, and he's been alternatively nice and into it, and sometimes aloof as I would expect, but like less though than I would think.
Yeah, I mean, he's he made his money right here and there. Numbers was on for quite a while, and if you're not stupid, those of you should know, if you do a television show for any length of time and it's on television, and you're not stupid about your money, which is, I'm gonna buy a plane and polo ponies. That would be the stupid thing. No, you buy a house. You could even buy two.
Yep.
Just you got to be smart. You can just, you can then be Rob Morrow and just do music.
Yeah.
And apparently not come on Ken's podcast.
That's right. Yeah. A lot of people are like that. Actually, earlier in this issue, because this is a Boston edition, there's an ad for a local show called Hershey's Hollywood that was hosted by this guy, Dana Hershey, who was a big guy on the radio, did voice like this. And he hosted the movie Loft on TV 38. And he refused to come on my show. And John Hodgman, the great John Hodgman, got so mad about it that he wrote him a really angry email. Dana Hershey not coming on the show.
Hodgman came to your defense.
Yeah, Hodgman was incensed.
What a mensch.
It was fantastic.
Here I was sitting here today waking up thinking I couldn't like John Hodgman any more than I do.
He's the best.
And now I do.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
He's the best. How dare you, Dana Hershey? Tuesday, we're on Tuesday night?
Tuesday, we can blow through some of this.
Let's do it, yeah.
We got Roseanne. 8 o'clock, I got nothing. 8 o'clock, let me get it in front of me. I think 8 o'clock's a whole lot of goose
Rescue
eggs, right?
911. Shatner be the funniest show on television.
Oh, you make a very good point. You do make
Bad
a very, very good point.
reenactments of real 911 calls hosted by a deadly serious William Shatner. Comedy gold.
I would say that I appreciate its existence. I cannot say that I ever watched one. Not one.
There's a Christmas special I highly recommend.
There's a Christmas special for Rescue 911?
Yes. So much like Cops, 911 calls in most states are public domain. So they were like, we got free writers. We just have the real call and then we have people reenact it. And you knew nothing bad would happen because they never played ones where people died or anything like that.
Right.
So it was always a rescue. So you can laugh, but there's a Christmas one and it's all Christmas things. And my favorite thing is this woman stuck in traffic. Her kid starts choking in the backseat. She calls 911 and then she goes, wait a minute. Santa Claus is here. He's giving my son the Heimlich maneuver. So some guy was dressed as Santa going somewhere, and he got out of his car and he saves this kid and then just took off. And then never saw him again.
Well, like as any Santa should. As any Santa should. Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I will have to find the Christmas special. Again, not a single time. It would be 8 o'clock, and I would have to be flipping around, and I'm probably watching Melvin and Howard on broadcast television. Just a bit. It's Melvin and Howard I found to be like real good, not quite great, real good. It has qualities to it. But I'm not watching Nova. I'm not watching Matlock. I'm not watching Full House. No, but Rescue 911, the Christmas special, I'm in. Yeah, after that,
do you have pride in Full House now, being a San Franciscan?
Hey, you know what the fucked up part? You joke about that on the opening episode. I regret this a little bit. Literally, like I'm driving, I'm being filmed. I'm on The Real World.
Yeah.
And they're driving us into San Francisco, and I joke like, yeah, I feel like we should be singing the Full House theme. And then we start singing it a little bit, and it's in the show. You know, me who's like never seen an episode, but I know.
Remember that.
I'm just muttering to myself, everywhere you go, you know. And they're filming us in, and and then they come in with like excellent grunge music. But
of course, yeah.
So yes, I do. I have a little bit of emotional connection to Full House because in a way it lives with me forever.
I will admit,
that.
I did go to the house the last time I was in San Francisco and had my picture taken out front.
Yeah, well, sure. It's because it has a different history now.
Yeah.
Because they've all kind of grown past it, and we've lost people that we love from who were on the show, and like it's different.
Yep.
It's different.
And Saget was alive at the time, and I did text him the picture and asked why he wouldn't answer the door.
And did he text back like, "Oh, that's so fucking funny. I've never had people make that joke to me, Ken.
Yeah.
God, hang on. I gotta pull myself off the floor. So goddamn funny.
I need to call 911. I've injured myself laughing."
Oh, okay. Tuesday night. So we're blowing through some fun here. So Roseanne, and look, Roseanne was great.
Great,
was
still great.
Show. It was a great show. And watching reruns, like God, this is still great. We've lost her. She's left us.
Yep.
She lives in Crazy Town, even more so than before.
Yeah.
I mean, she was always, really, just a ruler of Crazy Town.
Yeah.
And now, forget it. Then sliding into Coach, which again is another show which I watched quite a bit. Especially Van Dyke. What is
Jerry Van Dyke from My Mother
Jerry
the Car.
Van Dyke. Yeah. Oh God. Jerry Van Dyke was funny. He was funny in Coach.
Tom Poston had a reoccurring part, which I always liked.
Yeah. I know it's like it had a quality, and and I assume Craig T. Nelson made a bit of coin because the Modern Family story, right? They turned down. Do you know this?
No.
Oh, good. I get to tell Ken something. So Modern Family ran for 10 years, one of the biggest television shows ever, right? Craig T. Nelson was offered the Ed O'Neill part before Ed O'Neill.
Oh.
Right? Oh, painful, right? He wanted more money. They said no, and they went to Ed O'Neill, who then said, well, I've got lots of money, but this seems like fun. I'll do that. So he got to do Modern Family.
Now I have
Craig T.
lots of money.
Lots and lots of all the money in the whole wide world. I mean, can you possibly imagine? Oh, I mean, thinking about Modern Family, actually thinking about the casting, it makes a little more sense. Craig T. Nelson fits a little better with Sofia Vergara than O'Neill.
Yeah, totally.
Like I sort of buy like the handsome older dude vibe from Craig T. Nelson.
Yes.
But as far as
Ed O'Neill has schlub power, but Craig T. Nelson, I'm picturing Craig T. Nelson from Action Jackson having met her that era,
Oh yeah. No, he's old, but he's got some height, he's got some shoulders.
Yep.
You can buy it.
Yeah.
Why he could get here with Ed O'Neill. My children love the show and we watch it endlessly. I'm mostly watching. It's like, no, I don't. It's that no, But Ed O'Neill's like, comic giant. He's so funny. He's just really,
but a totally different energy. Yeah, underrated Ed O'Neill role, Dutch.
Everybody says this, and it's true.
It really is.
Dutch is good. Dutch is good. Dutch is good. I'm not saying run out and get it. I'm saying if it's on, watch it.
Yeah.
Okay. Dutch he's funny. He's funny. All right, we're running short on time, and I do not want to miss out. We need to slide into on Wednesday. There's an ad. There's a double shot ad here. One is for Big Brother Jake.
Yes.
Body. But can we talk about Body by Jake for
Body by
9
Jake?
seconds?
Jake Steinfeld.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the early branding guys who is able to turn it into a thing. With respect, Jake, not an actor.
Nope.
You never were. No.
Nope. He was a Long Island guy, I think. He was a personal trainer for a bunch of celebrities and managed to convince them to get him in stuff.
Mm-hmm. And in the stuff he was in, perfectly passable, perfectly fine. But here he is in a show called Big Brother Jake on the Family Channel, whatever the hell this is. And,
Orphans?
God bless. Please do tell.
Yes, it was Jake takes over an orphanage. I forget why, but he's a bodybuilder who has to quit to run this orphanage. So it's him and like 8 precocious kids.
Good God. Oh. Okay, so it's a nightmare. It's just as awful as you possibly imagine. I assume 1 season? Did it get that far?
3 seasons, but that was because the Family Channel didn't have a lot of original programming. Yeah.
Right. And Jake's not expensive.
No.
So, and I'm sure the show, it's a sitcom, so it costs $10.
Oh, yeah. Multicam. Very cheap.
Okay. And I'm sure Jake did fine. Kept his money.
I think he went back to personal training after a while.
Okay. Well, all right. Maybe he bought himself a couple of polo ponies.
Yep.
Don't do it. Like there's a mistake.
Yep.
Speaking of mistakes, there's an ad here. There's an ad here for a Sonia Braga movie called The Last Prostitute.
Yep. And it's doing the Graduate kind of thing.
Is that what this is?
Well, no, you know what this is? There was a movie that came out this year that had almost the same exact poster, and it was Paul Newman, and I think it was called Blaze.
Yeah. Right.
And it was this poster.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. All right. I mean, they're doing The Graduate as far as the folks in the ad. We're looking at a pair of women's legs.
Yeah.
And then a picture of like bad headshots of her and the 2 young boys. One of who is Will Wheaton.
Yes.
Will Wheaton is one of these boys, and the tagline here is they came for a lesson in love, they got a lesson in life. Which one almost wants to question. Hey, when one goes to a lady of the evening, are they looking for a lesson in love? Is that what this is? Oh, so the last prostitute. Why is she the last one? I have no idea. No idea.
This is the description here. It's made for cable, Lifetime. TV Guide only gives it 1 star. No shock. 2 teens try to become men by doing business with, quote, the world's greatest hooker.
There's so many wrong things in all those sentences. There's just oh my goodness.
And then did you see the USA world premiere movie on at the same time?
No, what they got? What they got?
It's called The Lightning Field, and it stars Nancy McKeon, and it's clearly a ripoff of the movie The Seventh Sign with Demi Moore that had come out that year. And it says, their force has no limits, their power can kill, and they need Martha's baby. So it's like evil
Nancy
druids.
McKeon and Polly Bergen.
Yes.
Yeah, there's and the font is reminiscent of like Percy Jackson. If you want to get the vibe, people, if you want to get the vibe. And she's in the foreground here, laying on her back with her big old belly in the air. It's just, wow.
But they give it 2 stars. They're saying it's twice as good as The Last Prostitute.
Well, you get an extra star just because you're about childbirth rather than, the greatest hooker in the world.
That's true. But it's a South American Indian cult who want the child for a human sacrifice.
Okay. God almighty. Wow. And and they do look like druids. It makes no sense. None of it makes sense. Oh, again, so, hey, Nancy, you want to come? We're going to shoot it. We're going to shoot it in New Mexico. Okay. And we'll put you up for 10 days. Sounds good. I'm in. Okay.
You like margaritas?
I do. I like margaritas quite a bit.
Well, come on to this movie.
Come on down. What's it called? We're working on that. Lightning Field, not Rosemary's Baby.
Yep.
Along those lines. Something in that ballpark.
Quetzalcoatl. Something Aztec.
Okay, sir. Lightning round as we
Yes.
through.
Going.
So Wednesday. I'm gonna quickly say them. So, Dinosaurs, Wonder Years, Doogie Howser, Quantum Leap. This is actually a good evening.
Yeah.
Different shit going on here, but it's a good evening. I'd like to say Dinosaurs is actually, it actually holds up in a lot of ways. It's pretty
100%.
It's good. It's edgier than
subversive, funny.
Oh yeah, one of the darkest endings ever in television. I almost don't want to spoil it for people. If you don't know the darkest ending ever in television, go just to YouTube and just Google Dinosaurs final episode. They'll show you the last 5 minutes. I don't want to spoil it.
Stuart Penkin, who did the voice of Earl, I've had on the show, and he shared with me, we went to his house, he shared with me letters they received of people complaining about the final episode.
How dark and horrible it was?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Amazing.
Well, I'll ruin it for you all. The meteor hits.
They
talk about the meteor about to hit. The dinosaurs are all going to die. I mean, it makes the end of St. Elsewhere look like nothing.
Yeah. The last line is the baby going, "Daddy, are we going to die?" And he goes, "I don't know, son."
Yeah. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, was it an act of vengeance for the producers? The show's like, we're going off the air? Fine, we're going off hard.
It was Henson's plan the entire time. So he developed that show and then he passed away. But it was his plan the whole time to have you love this family and then kill them due to their own fault because they ruined the environment and it created this new ice age. And so that was his plan the whole time.
Boy, Jim could just go there. Oh, good for him. Good for him. Okay, and with that, Wonder Years mostly totally holds up.
Yep.
Doogie Howser, I watched the entire run with my children. It is actually an excellent show to watch with your children. It's really, it has a beginning, middle, and end. It is completely formulaic. And
what did Pam think of the medical stuff?
The medical stuff. This is early days, so it's total garbage. It's more miraculous. She said in this era when they do things and they sort of get them right. I mean, this was an era where nobody is intubated properly.
Yeah.
They usually just put oxygen masks over their face, like ER. People are intubated. People, when people code on ER, that's the one thing that doctors talk about. Just so you know, folks, if you're in a hospital and one of your loved one codes, meaning that they need to be resuscitated, they're probably not coming back.
Yeah.
It's like 5 to 10% people will come back after they code. In ER, it's something like 95%. So
Yeah.
that was, and she could tell us things like that. The fun with Pam is you pause the TV and you're like, what do you think this is? It's like, I don't know. It's probably meningitis, but but it might be a subdural hematoma. I'm not sure. It's like,
it's not like on House where everything's lupus.
Yes. Oh, Ken, I make the same joke to my children. When in doubt, it's going to be lupus.
Always lupus.
House is always just, it's the medical term is zebras. You're just chasing zebras. The most ridiculous thing. And I taught my children no, they figured it out in the first act. It's definitely not that. It's going to be something totally different. It's going to be the plague or some shit. Just wait. Lastly is Quantum Leap, which was I loved Quantum Leap. I think I watched all of Quantum Leap. Still good. The new one's great too. I love Quantum Leap. I ripped off Quantum Leap for my own comic book series. I did a series called EX-iles, which was a bunch of X-Men from alternate realities that get thrown together. And they literally have to fix things that have gone wrong in alternate realities before they move on to the next thing. I'm doing Sliders. I'm doing Quantum Leap. I'm doing it with X-Men. I never hid this. Never hid it. Okay? And I loved it. It was some of my best work.
I pitched a show a couple years ago that got pretty far down the line that I pulled out of my ass, and it was Quantum Leap Video Store. I called it 3-day rental, and in the future, you can rent someone's life for 3 days in the past. So it was like a sort of anthology show. And
That's pretty good.
I liked it, but then it never went anywhere. But I was like, oh, man.
Oh, that's pretty good. Elevator pitch alone, like that's got some legs.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you know, you're done. You'd have to like streaming services now, and like,
Yeah.
you know, what's that?
No one's paying for anything.
No, it's like, you know, so, you know, like the heart of the show, like, you
Yep.
kind of broke the back on that one.
Yep.
Well, it should be noted on Wednesday night, Presumed Innocent is on yet again.
Again.
Again. So watch a couple minutes, like, oh my gosh, John Spencer, I forgot he was in this. And we'll take 5 seconds. Raul Julia, unbelievable powerhouse actor who never got a chance to do his third act.
Yeah.
God, he's great in everything.
Yeah.
Go watch both Addams Family movies, and then go watch, you know, The Kiss of the Spider Woman, and go like, Jesus Christ, look at this man.
I mean, he's even good in like Street Fighter. Like he managed to make a ridiculous
He's good
role.
in Street Fighter.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's deciding like, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to do actual work here. I'm going to put it in. It's amazing. It's amazing. Which takes us to Thursday, sir, as we race the clock.
Yep.
Cosby Show and Simpsons. We already did that. We're done. Mark and Brian were on that evening as well. I think we've talked more about that than we ever should.
This episode, they deliver a baby.
Of course they do. Because, you know, they talked somebody into it. It's like, yeah, listen, we'll pay your medical bills. I have insurance. We'll send you to Bermuda, you know, whatever they talk them into.
Well, you know what this was, and I know we're lightning around, but this is a good side note. We were in the middle of Operation Desert Storm, right? So they were so trying to play on people that this one they go, the boys play stand-in dads to a pregnant young woman whose husband is in the Air Force. Over in Iraq. God. So they're really trying with this one.
Oh my God. You just want to beat someone with a stick. It's just, you should be ashamed of yourselves. It's terrible. Terrible. All right. Also on this evening, I probably not watched Beverly Hills 90210. Wasn't my jam. Although I grew sideburns. I did, like we all did at that time. I was 21. I had sideburns. But Flatliners was on that night, which I have not rewatched. I bet it still holds up. I bet it's still pretty good.
It's good. I watched it and the remake recently. The remake is terrible.
I heard that,
But the original one still holds up. There's some really scary stuff. It's got the amazing Joel Schumacher visuals.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the cast is great. It's very of its time, but in the best way.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. And like, I mean, just Murderer's Row as far as cast. Everyone is good. Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to think a minute when I saw it there. It's like, is Oliver Platt in this movie?
Yep.
I remember Oliver Platt in this movie. And what I'm thinking now is that Oliver Platt is roughly the same age as the other people in this movie.
Yep.
Which seems weird.
It does.
And I had to look it up. Oldest cat in the room, Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon's a year older than Oliver Platt.
I believe
Oliver Platt is right now 63. Kevin Bacon is 64. And Kevin Bacon looks younger than us.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yep.
So yes, okay, good. I'm glad Flatliners held up. Good.
Yeah, it's good. I would recommend Flatliners. And side note, that episode of 90210, not usually a fan of it, but this is the introduction of Emily Valentine, who's played by ex-Boston punk rock kid Christine Elise, who's been on the show.
Shut up.
Yep.
Shut up. No idea. That's amazing.
Yep. And she went on to write episodes of 90210, and she wrote an episode with the Cramps in it because they're her favorite band. So she got paid to write that episode and have the band on the show.
That's like a reason to keep on living. The fact that something like that happened. The fact she went from like performing, I had no idea that she was an actor on the show, then wound up in the writer's room. I don't know how that shit happens, but good on her.
Yep.
Jeez. Oh my God. I mean, seriously. Okay, which brings us to Friday night to close this all out.
Yes.
And again, we are after the dog days of summer have ended, we are on. So it's Friday night. They expect no one to be watching television, basically, because we got. What am I watching? I'm not watching America's Most Wanted, which, by the way, okay, all the props imaginable to America's Most Wanted and John Walsh turned the most horrific thing that could ever happen to a human being and fought crime. He became Batman. You know. And as ridiculous as this shit is, stop bad guys. It was amazing. But I would probably be flipping back and forth. I'd probably start my evening with Star Trek Next Generation. And then, oh shit, Wrath of Khan's on broadcast television. I'm watching Wrath of Khan.
You have to.
I'm watching, which I'm glad Wrath of Khan, I'm hand to chest now. I'm glad Wrath of Khan is getting the proper it's getting its proper due. People
Yeah.
talk about it with the reverence it deserves because it's great.
Yep.
You know?
And the character of Khan and the whole like people who use genetic manipulation is coming into the other stories. Like they're like, oh, with the potential of this character, we're finally realizing.
Oh, it was an amazing idea that someone said, like, I'm going to take one of the guys from the show and we're going to make him the villain. Like, Ricardo Montalban. And can we argue the point that Ricardo Montalban was never better? Like, you know, like it was just so good. I love Rethcon so much. Much more so than this movie I did not watch at 9 o'clock, which is the Amityville, one of the many, this is like the 5th Amityville horror movie.
Yeah.
Number 5, because I guess everybody loves money and they still have the rights to it. So we'll make a horror movie. Okay. Is there any way we can call this an Amityville horror? And I'm sure the fellas and ladies working on it saying, oh, we don't give a shit, but fine.
It's a failed pilot, by the way.
Oh boy, thank you, Ken. It's a failed pilot. It's another one?
Yep, it's a failed pilot, and it's called Amityville the Evil Escapes. So this is in California.
Right.
So the idea...
That's where you make TV shows. So
and Amityville, Long Island, who cares? It's California now. Right. So the idea of this show was essentially they would have this group of people who are like hunting and helping haunted houses.
Okay.
And that's why the evil escapes. We have to keep chasing this evil from the Amityville. And it's terrible. And it was a huge failure. At the same time, there was a huge court case about who owned the rights to Amityville. And another company made a direct-to-video Amityville movie the same year called Amityville It's About Time, about an evil clock. And they got in a court battle about who owned it.
Well, man, what's scarier than a clock, or, whatever these ghost chasers were. Oh God, I love that's a failed pilot. I love that we're ending on this, which is, again, like I want to reiterate, I believe it's a rather dark time for television. I believe it's kind of the hair
you've convinced me.
Aura of television. Because here we are, we're in September, we're about to kick off a new season, and it's a garbage dump. This is, there's a lot of trash here. There's a lot of building blocks, there's some good here, but there's a lot of shit going on that's just, with the exception of Northern Exposure, we get a couple of like, people like, oh, Night Court was amazing. Like, well,
not that
go watch
weird.
a little Night Court. And every time Gerald Larroquette speaks, like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, it's working. That's okay. It's like, other than that, like, again, like...
Especially 91. The show had been canceled the previous season, and the show they were going to replace it with fell through, and they still had them under contract, made them come back and do a final season after they thought they were done.
Wow.
So the last season is nuts.
Oh, is it just like... Well, I believe the episode that they show here is that Harry and John Larroquette's character are stuck in a vault, and they're visited by the devil.
Yep.
Okay, so
things get crazy. The two-parter that opens it was influenced by Northern Exposure. Dan crashes a plane in Alaska, and he has to live with this Inuit family, and like it's ridiculous.
Wow! Oh man, it's not even. See, folks, in 91, you can't even blame it on that everyone was on cocaine. That was done.
Yeah.
This is an era of just, we don't care anymore.
Yep.
We don't care. We're just, there's a lot of that going on.
They'll watch anything.
Yeah. And they did.
They did.
For a while. They did for a while. We are right on the precipice of things getting kind of interesting. Movies were deeply interesting now. I mean, there's a lot of like, motion pictures were like really kind of kicking ass. There's a lot of like great, weird, interesting shit going on, right around this time.
And it's the summer of T2. It's like,
this was right.
It, yeah.
Right. It's, we're again, culturally, grunge is about to come in. We're about to have a major cultural shift, with youth culture. And with that, indie films are about to come in, which are, kind of played hell with TV. TV had to change up in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
And,
Hal Ashby stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole thing.
Oh, yeah, this is despite the fact that I had a delightful time with you, sir. This was not great TV.
Well, when we do this again, which we should, we'll have to try and pick a good year.
Oh yeah, no, we'll either go forward or go back.
Yes.
For me personally, we've picked a couple errors. Like previously, we kind of did a lot of my childhood. Now this is me as kind of a young adult, I'm in my 20s before I knew anything, still wet behind the ears, and before I went off and joined the circus,
That's
friends.
right.
Went actually on TV myself.
You went through the looking glass, literally.
I did. Cross streams, went in there, learned what it was on the other side, but not really, as I talk about often, as it often comes up, it's like, yeah, no, that must have been interesting. It's like, it was the most amazing experience of my life. And there's many things I can say about, but if we're going to talk about it as far as TV, for a very brief period of time, I was on a TV show where the cast was as famous as the cast of Friends.
Mm-hmm.
For a couple of months.
Yeah.
Literally like 2 months, and then that was over with. Our show ended, theirs kept going, and then that's all done. Now, me, myself, I met my wife, and I'm living in a house that we have together, and I have 2 teenage children. That's what I got out of it.
Worked out.
It worked out great. A lot better. Like I was about to say, better than it did for Fred Ward. No, but Fred did fine. He
did fine. Yeah.
I was trying to find out someone to crap on, but I didn't really have it.
No, we won't have Dennis Hopper playing you in the season of The Real World after that.
Heavens, no.
Although I would watch that.
I would. That'd be great.
It's just normal Real World cast and then Dennis Hopper.
Just chewing up the scenery.
Yep.
Him trying to do his best Rob Morrow. Be great.
It'd be like Big Brother Jake. He'd be in charge. We just pitched a great show. Awesome.
Someone out there's going like, that's not bad. That's not bad.
We can do this. I think it'll go on Hulu. Well, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Always a good time. And thank you. I really appreciate you doing it.
Sir, absolute delight as always. We shall do this again.
Yes.
At some point, my friend.
I didn't lie to you. He's the best. Hopefully we'll be back next year for a third in the trilogy. We'll complete the trilogy of the Ken and Judd show here. Buy all his books. Just look them up on Amazon or your local independent bookstore and just buy everything that he's done. And you will not be disappointed. Speaking of not being disappointed, next week I have another excellent guest. So I don't think you'll be disappointed then. But be here next time for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.